Most businesses do not need an AI that sounds smart. Instead, businesses are going to need AI that is actually going to help them fix the things that are slipping through the cracks. Every business has the same problems. I've helped so many businesses and I see the same recurring problems constantly. They have all their messages in one place. They got all their documents in another place. They get all these tasks that aren't closing the loop. Nobody knows if they're finished, who's in charge of them, whatever the case may be. Decisions that are just sitting there waiting for approval when it's ready to go. Or just a series of the customer, the client, or even the own employees on the team are waiting for follow-ups where the other person doesn't know they gotta follow them up. And that's where agent harnesses start to make sense. An agent harness inside of a properly built OS essentially is going to do a lot of things correctly for you. And that is exactly why I use Hermes Agent, because honestly, a clean agent OS can work for any business model out there, and I'm gonna show why. Let's talk why we want agents in our business anyways. Well, the biggest thing is repeatable work is done throughout every single business. And repeatable work can be monotonous, and it could be something simple that gets lost in translation or the ball gets dropped. And the problem isn't always the skill. It's really these stupid little small mistakes that keep getting made. And that's why agents can help speed up the transition to a point where it's even automating fully and makes the business just run better. I've looked at a lot of businesses that are really dropping the ball on the smallest task, and it's simple. An agent harness can help speed this up. A lot of these common examples could be clinical intake forms, agency client updates, contractor quote follow-ups, real estate lead notes, gym member check-ins, support tickets. These are all things that are common, repeatable, but often get dropped on. So you could see here, a business gets overloaded when this happens. Okay, we have messages coming in. We have documents that have to get signed or passed along. We have tools that need to be utilized for certain things. And because of that, the balls get dropped over here. So then people are drafting incorrect things because they needed a tool. They're checking things to figure out where the message is, and they're getting reminded about things that they need to do. But they're waiting on the person over here to send the document. It's just a simple thing. And unfortunately, a chatbot is just a chatbot. But an agent is going to run off of an LLM and repeatedly help move these things along so mistakes don't get made. We use Hermes Agent. OpenClaw is another one. They have a great team over there. But Hermes is open source. Same with OpenClaw. And the reason why we use Hermes, in our opinion, is because it gets so much more intelligent over time. I've implemented Hermes in many other places before on proper OSs, and day one is vastly different from day 30. It gets smarter, it learns your business more, it learns workflows, where to save rules. And the OS hygiene, if you want to call it, is the most important thing for the agent harness to run smoothly on. But essentially the Hermes will have a chat function that can live and breathe in any type of work environment you use. Slack, Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram, you name it. And the Hermes agent lives in the chat. You use that just like you would in a chatbot. Okay? You chat in your channels, your Slack channels, whatever the case may be, and it can go and pull from the tools, the skills it needs, the memory it needs, and the crons, which are repeatable tasks. A cron for me that I could always use every morning, update me on how the previous day in the stock market went, what were the highs, what were the lows. That's a daily cron that I can get hit with, and I do have something like that. And then obviously the receipt or the execution layer. What gets done as it's saved, very important here. And you can already start to see ChatGPT is just a conversation. This right here is something that could workflow all the way to a finished product that you're looking for. If I'm using this to build out a social media post, I chat it, and I have a workflow. I say, what do we need to do? It knows we already have tools in place. Okay, it knows it needs to go generate an image with an image model. It has the skills in place to write the correct captions, write the correct prompt for the image, and it has the memory in place to know what has worked in the past, what has not worked, and then it sets a cron. Okay, I'm gonna go draft all of this up, and I'm gonna post it tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. And then it's gonna leave a receipt of what it did. In case it made a mistake, you can go back, pull the receipt, and go from there. And that's how it learns with the pushback you give it. A clean OS is what's going to make the previous slide I looked at when it comes to a workflow work better. Essentially, the intake that it takes. So, I don't know, my brand Bible with my voice, my identity, who my target audience is, all these files you can use a Codex or a Cloud Code to create in what's called markdown files. Those are the sources or the context that your OS is going to live and breathe on. That way, when you strap an agent to it and you say, hey, Every time you're going to go build me out a social media post, I need you to read our target audience so you know what the post should be kind of tailored to. The intake is very important because it ties into the sources that are utilized. And then you have rules in place that say certain things need approvals. We want the workflow to stop right here and ask for approval. And then, of course, a clean OS is going to give you the better output. If you don't have a clean OS, which I have seen, I've even had myself, you're not going to get good responses. The agent is going to try and complete the workflow or whatever the task you give it, but it's going to guess a lot of times. We want agents to not be guessing ever. We want them to be completely guardrailed in through a structured OS. So every time we're doing something, they know what to do. I'm going to shrink down an agent into small jobs that it can do for us. And I'm trying to keep this video very high level. I can nerd out on things it can do and awesome workflows you can create. But from a small hierarchy perspective, it can read, it can draft, it can check, it can route for you. This could be from reports, follow-ups, it can do QA if needed on things. So when it comes to read, it can summarize a folder for you. It can summarize a contract for you, a PDF for you. When it comes to drafting, it's pretty simple. Social media posts I used before as an example, it can draft the actual caption for you. When it comes to a quote follow-up, it can actually, instead of just giving you the email follow-up, you can build a workflow where it's operating inside your Gmail, your Outlook, and actually drafting the response all the way up until all you have to do is read it, and you don't even need to approve it. You just hit send. Simple as that. In checking, I have a ton of agents in my OS that are constantly checking things. One of them is the OS hygiene agent, one of my favorite workflows, where I have it guardrail, okay, a skeleton of my folders, which is my top layer folders in the OS, needs to make sure it's always the core 9 that I have. If all of a sudden there's a 10th or an 11th folder, it knows an agent built something incorrectly and it's going to report me. So it's constantly checking and cleaning up my OS. One of the more important things that we need to do. But it could be doing simple things, checking your email inbox, checking things on statuses of approvals, checking from client perspective, from the internal perspective. It can even do more research style checking. If a client sends you something, it can go and check, is that accurate? Source it out through the internet or wherever it needs to do. And then lastly, route is as simple as that. You can have it actually send contracts for you, schedule meetings that you need to do, or just simply save approval process that you have in place. These are the simple work modes. There's thousands of more options you can do under each of these, but I'm just trying to be high level here. And here's the trust layer. This is what I recommend. You can do things differently, but I think there should be a low risk, medium risk, high risk with agents. And right now, quite frankly, I do believe agents are going to be a point where they can do so much of the work without needing a human element of approval. But right now, there are certain things a business is going to want to safeguard. And I'm speaking to this from a perspective of a business. And I've seen this in OSs I've worked in for other businesses. Low risk, simple things can be auto. I don't need it to ask for approval to go into my email inbox and read all the emails in the past 24 hours and give me a brief rundown on what happened. I, in fact, wanted to just do that and spit me out the output. A medium risk could be something where it recommends that you review this, right? If it's building out a website for me, there's going to be some layers where it's going to build it out, but it's going to recommend certain aspects of the website that it might want to change or might want my approval on. It needs me to set my eyes on it, and I appreciate that it's asking me that. It could be simply from sending an email, right? You might want it to be audit. If you're doing an outreach of cold emailing, that's something that's really low risk and you can just auto run, but you might want it to review certain types of emails based on the client or the industry it's going to that you just have to review. And then obviously the high risk are the things where it can do all the way up into a point, but it needs that approval. That approval is going to be a hard blocker is what I like to call it in the agent harness. That blocker cannot proceed until you approve it. And it's very important that you have this on some of these high risk workflows that you're building with your harness. In the ecom world, it could be simply doing refunds. Someone might request a refund. You have your agent that reads your email, then it sends it to another agent that goes, looks and finds the order. And then that agent needs to make a decision. Do I hit refund in Shopify or should I wait and ask the founders or the owners of the business to see if I should actually do this? These are the approval gates you need. And lastly, any business can use the use case. When I first got into agent harnesses, I was using Claude Code, so I already was familiar with building out OSs. But I really was starting to think, what's so different about an agent harness? What are the use cases? And when it was so new, nobody built videos or had info on use cases. But now that I've seen how it works and I've built it, I do feel I am not an expert, but very knowledgeable in this space, the use cases to me are endless. For clinical, you can have intake forms that are automatically handled and routed through that. That's something that takes a lot of time from a human element and can be replaced. An agency can use so many different types of handoffs, sending things to clients, or even internal handoffs where a lot of multi-different person teams are utilized. It could be for trades where you're getting quotes on a roofing company. These could be automated, sent to client, even reminder emails sent. For realtors, these are going after leads, finding home sellers, home buyers. You can automate this whole process. And even simply gyms, keeping retention, reading your database in your gym. How long are members on average staying? How long are members on average how long are members that are canceling their membership? What are some common themes? Are they not going to the gym often? Could be a theme. These are things that we can kind of use an agent harness to give research purposes on and analyze for us. And then lastly, SaaS companies, not just from an agent perspective of building SaaS tools, but more for an existing SaaS company, filling out tickets and operating and letting that be flowed completely through agent work, absolutely can be done. Same exact harness, different business. And that's why me and my business partner have created our own agency of putting in these OSs that we know are proven, winning, have skills, rules, playbooks, workflows, all that are to be designed to have already worked for other businesses, and we will implement it straight into your business and tie in the agent harness of Hermes or OpenCloud, whatever you want to do. You need to stop asking AI to run your business. There needs to be operators out there that are using it to run in addition to what they're running with as the operator. That's the best case scenario in my opinion. Jeff Bezos in an interview recently said it so perfect in my opinion. If you're digging a hole because you're going to build a house and you got to get everything ready for the foundation, using a shovel does not make sense. If all of a sudden someone invention comes along the way like a backhoe and you can really speed this up by an insane amount, why would you say no to that? It doesn't make any sense. And that's how I look at agent harnesses here. Yes, it can be overwhelming, scary, daunting at first, but when you learn how OSs work, how it reads and uses files, skills, and all these things, I promise you, you start thinking differently because you're like, okay, this workflow that we never have done in our business because we knew it was going to be time consuming, too many hands had to be involved, all of a sudden might be doable. And that's because of the power of an agent harness when used in a proper operating system. Your OS is the core gold of this entire thing. It makes it transferable. You could strap any type of agent harness if you have a proper OS built, designed for these agent harnesses. There could be an agent harness that we've never even heard of yet that could be the best of the best a year from now. If you have the OS in place that's operating correctly, you can just swap out any harness with the new one and you're good to go. And if you're interested, I make videos like this all the time to help simplify how agent harnesses work for all kinds of business models. And I even have a service now, the link into my bio, where you can actually reach out to us. We can consult with you on what we recommend, workflows, skills, tools that need to be involved, certain LLMs that we plug in, build out an entire OS for you and your business and stick with you for a bit to get it up and running. If you like this video, please like, please comment. I love feedback. I would love to get more from you, and always subscribe. I wish you all nothing the best in this AI race that's out there and learning with all the tools that are coming at insane speeds, and we're all in this together.